All right, so in this lesson, we're going to reflect on our personal development journey. It's a little bit different than the other lessons, but again, similar concept is that, again, we're reflecting, and then this is going to be the final step. So reflect on your personal development journey. There's a few things that I want to talk about, but one of the first things is doing a general reflection. And what I mean by that is literally just sit down and think on some of these questions. So question one, what do you do for self-care? So again, coming back to one of the initial lessons, what are we doing for self-care? Making sure that we know exactly what works, what doesn't, what we enjoy, what we don't enjoy, right? Things we've tried, things that we haven't tried. So again, it's a brainstorming session. What do you do for self-care? What can you do? What haven't you tried, as an example? Or what do you enjoy? Focus on that. Next one, what do you do for the expansion of self? So again, constant evolution, right? So how can you expand your mindset, your knowledge, your wisdom? What do you do for learning, as an example, for expansion of self? Think about that, reflect on it again. Videos, podcasts, audiobooks, physical books, seminars, right? All those things come to mind, So what do you do for the expansion of self? What about meditation? Have you tried it? Again, there's many different ways to meditate, and you can go to various gurus and they're going to give you one way. There's transcendental meditation, mantra meditation, various yogic type of meditations, breathing meditation, visualization meditations, out-of-body meditations, and many other ones as well. So what do you do for meditation? Meditation doesn't have to be this crazy practice. It can be as simple as walking in silence, jogging in silence, running in silence, sitting in silence, washing dishes in silence. Meditation is mainly being in silence and listening to what's within, right? Listening to what comes up within the mind, within the self, memories, thoughts, and so on, is gaining that awareness. And you do that by creating an environment of silence where you have no distractions from the physical environment, from others. It's mainly time for yourself to just sit and be with yourself. That's it. Meditation is just simply the act of being in silence and reflecting. That's it. It's fun. That's one way of doing meditations, but obviously visualizations and other things on top of that. So what are routines worked in the past, what didn't? So again, in the previous lessons, we structured a routine, an optimal routine for the current lifestyle, right? Now you're going to do that over and over and over again until the routine works. But like I said in that lesson, when the seasons change, you might have to change up your routine again. So again, this is where we sit and reflect on our previous routines. What did we enjoy within them? What didn't we enjoy, right? This is just brainstorming. It's data collection that will help us when crafting our optimal routine later on, as an example. So that's a question to ask for self. What about where you actually are in your personal development journey? I started my personal development journey back in 2012. Prior to that, I haven't listened to one audiobook, I haven't read any books, I haven't done anything that's related to personal development. But in 2012, when I started trading, all of a sudden I got into personal development. And it was simple. I started off with watching YouTube videos, motivational YouTube videos. That's it, moving on to digging a lot into Tony Robbins and all the content that Tony Robbins has. And then moving on to audiobooks and physical books and many other things that I do now, But again, there's a starting point. At some point, you just got to start, and it can be very, very simple, very, very basic, And then eventually, there is no personal development journey. Eventually, the personal development practice is already built within your day-to-day routine. It's just something that you do. As an example, I enjoy meditation, so I meditate multiple times a day. I also enjoy reading, so I try to read at least once a day to absorb new wisdom, new knowledge, and so on, new perspectives, open myself up a little bit, open up my mindset to other probabilities and possibilities and so on, So that's what I do, and it's just part of my day now. That is just what I do on a regular basis, and it's nothing that I even think about anymore. So that's eventually where you want to get to within your personal development journey. So we also gathered some tools on how to break limiting beliefs. There's two ways of doing that. Number one is reflecting on the past. If you get triggered during the day, there's typically something that maybe is tied to a previous memory or a past event that happened when you were younger, maybe something your parents said or something that has happened to you when you were younger that all of a sudden created an emotional blockage, right? And now in the present, that past self is reacting, and that is the limiting belief. So you change your perspective of that past memory, all of a sudden everything changes. Now you see the beauty in it rather than the pain, right? Another way of breaking limiting beliefs is becoming who you want to become, right? So that's again the goal setting, crafting that lifestyle. Who are you 2 years into the future? What are you doing, right? That baller trader that you want to become, living in that beautiful home or whatever it is, right? Step into the shoes of that individual on a day-to-day basis, right? So on a day-to-day basis, by absorbing yourself, by visualizing and feeling, and visualizing what your day-to-day life would be, right, in the future. When you do that in the present moment right now, those feelings you're pretty much bringing up those feelings within. And when you feel those feelings within, well, you create your own reality. So that is what all of a sudden creates the physical reality that you know for yourself, right? What you think within is manifested outside. So again, that's the second way of doing it, of breaking limiting beliefs, is by just forgetting about it and becoming the new self on a day-to-day basis by taking action and stepping into those feelings and that visualization, right? Two very powerful techniques. And I think if you do both of them, right, when the limiting beliefs come up, the thing is, don't search for them, but when they come up, if you do both, when those limiting beliefs come up, you set an intention to find the initial source of that limiting belief, and then a memory might come up. And then you change the perspective of that memory from a negative to a positive. Now you see the beauty in it. Well, what you just did there is you did the first step of removing a limiting belief, right? The next step is step into the future self, become the person that you want to be by cultivating those feelings, that visualization, and last step is taking action on a day-to-day basis towards your future, right? And you do that, you do both of those, you will break your limiting beliefs and you will manifest the life that you desire. Remember, you create your own reality, right? So that brings me to a few last things. Tools, resources. What are some of the things that you can do for personal development? YouTube videos. I know it's silly, but I mean, there's so much content on YouTube, podcasts, and so on that you can get value from. I did that in the past. Now I don't vibe with it that much, but it's something that I did in the past at the beginning of my personal development journey, and it has helped a lot. So YouTube videos, podcasts, interviews, right? So also speakers and authors such as Wayne Dyer, Michael Singer, Joe Dispenza, Tony Robbins. Every single one of those individuals is amazing within that field, within personal development. Wayne Dyer has some amazing wisdom from a manifestation point of view. He's amazing at that. Michael Singer, creating your reality and just flowing with life. Again, some very key kind of wisdom that I gathered from that individual. Joe Dispenza. A lot of you vibe with Joe Dispenza because he's the modern day guy who's bringing the science to meditation, right? So if you're struggling with meditation because you think it's the metaphysical, well, now it's science backed. And what Dr. Joe Dispenza is doing is he's bringing the science to meditation, right? And actually showing you real data that actually presents that meditation does change your reality, right? So that's what he's digging into, and you might vibe with that as well. So you might want to dig into Joe Dispenza or Tony Robbins as an example. He's been in this field for decades, right? He's an expert in personal development. So again, Tony Robbins, maybe his seminars, his books, his audio programs, that's where you could start, right? And I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds of books and audiobooks that you can, again, dig into to expand your personal development journey. But again, remember, at some point, you will just have to do, right? At some point, you're going to have to stop the wisdom gathering and create your own wisdom by practicing, by trying those things and trying it long enough so that you can actually feel it and experience the full effect. And then you'll know whether you like it, what you enjoy about it, what you don't enjoy about it. The idea is to try everything, at least once, you know. But meditation, Something I highly recommend is building a sort of meditation practice. It can be very, very simple to start off, and it can get very advanced as well if you wanted to, but simplicity, very important at the beginning. So find what works for you. Personal practice that works for you. Find an optimal way for you to remove blockages. We mentioned 2 of those. Optimal way for you to manifest, an optimal way for you to learn, an optimal way for you just to live life, period, and you create your own reality. So that's what this is all about. This whole section was about knowing yourself, knowing exactly what it is that you want to manifest and the goals that you want to create, the lifestyle that you want to create, the beautiful life that you want to create for yourself and your loved ones. That's step 1. Step 2 is optimizing your current lifestyle, your current routine, so that you have joy, you have pleasure, you have fun, but you have enough time for work, you have enough time for self-care, you have enough time for learning, you have enough time for trading. Optimize that routine and optimize it as much as you have to until it feels good, right? To learning how to break limiting beliefs and knowing what limiting beliefs actually are. And the thing is, don't search for them. They will come up. That reflective practice that you can do at the end of the day is very, very powerful. And the thing is, at the beginning, it may seem like you're not getting anywhere with meditation or with reflection. The thing is, you do it over and over and over and over again. Remember, it's a muscle that you potentially haven't trained in years. It's something that our bodies, our self know how to do, but we just haven't done it in a very long time. Those limiting beliefs, we all know how to heal them. It's just we haven't done it. It hasn't been part of the society that we live in, where we actually meditate and break our limiting beliefs, right? Instead, we absorb limiting beliefs from others. That is the world that we've been living in, but we don't have to live in that world. We can choose and create the reality that we want, right? And we can choose and change perspectives of the past as well, to find the beauty in them, the lessons in them. And again, you can change your present as well by optimizing your routine and stepping into your visualization, becoming that individual that you want to be 2 years into the future, right now, today, by feeling, visualizing, and taking action. So again, this is all those things that we learned in this whole section. It was all about brainstorming. It was all about self-review, right? And you take notes on all those little tips or on all those little points, right? You find the wisdom that you have gathered over the years. This is what this is. This is mainly a way for you to gather wisdom from your past on all those things and craft something that really works right now for you in the present. So that's what this was all about, is knowing yourself and again, optimizing the self for peak performance. In the next section, we're going to be digging into the technicals, the actual journal review, where we're going to be digging into the data that is within your journal, digging into your analysis and finding the lessons, the actual trading lessons. And I'm going to show you a bunch of lessons that I have gathered over the years with examples and actually talk about them to help you with your own journal review. But that is the next section. Right now, I just want you to spend a few days, a few weeks, a month just reflecting on your journey so far and figuring out what it is that you actually want, and just know yourself. That's what this section was about. You have homework, time to dig into it, and I'll see you in the next section. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll chat to you soon. Take care.